Hey, rookies, sleepers, and breakouts. Bradley, coach, here with you. We have Fast Draft. Bradley, let's talk about Fast Draft and the benefit. I was thinking about it driving in the car today. Rookie drafts, 8 hours long, Fast Draft, different iteration of how we handle these rookies and process them. What do you think the benefit value added is, besides trying to win some money here on Fast Draft, to this practice of mocking and doing drafts in Fast Draft in rapid succession? In practice for your rookie drafts, which usually are 8 hour time slots.
Yeah, this is where reps upon reps make all the difference. You win because you find the edges and you take advantage of where drafters are. Here's the thing. Fast draft gives you such an advantage over anyone else in terms of getting those reps in. You can go to the bottom of the Fast Draft app and click on mock draft, and you can create a new mock draft. Each coach, this is, we have all the rookies listed in the database. That's what you want. It drops before any other site, and you get to have the advantage because some of you are in sicko leagues, right? Or you're in those sicko best ball leagues that, well, I have one that's dropping tomorrow. I need to get some familiarity with where these guys are going to go in terms of Dynasty. But that's going to help me in other places as well. Fast Draft is giving you the edge that you didn't realize that you needed. And that's why we're going to do today a new mock draft on Fast Draft so we can see where the ADPs of these players are going to land. Yes, we're going to draft against the bots. That's always a little bit of fun, but it's also going to give us an opportunity to talk about a few of the players that we like and maybe some surprising spots in this mock draft where maybe they're showing up, or maybe there's a few players that, hey, maybe you didn't even know this player existed in the player pool. Well, now you do, and you've got an advantage over the people who haven't had any reps going into these late January, early February drafts, whether you're in the Dynasty streets, whether you're in the way too early best ball streets, wherever you're at, Jeremiyah, this is the skeleton key that unlocks so many edges for you.
Hey, think about reps and reflexivity in 20 seconds, rapid fire succession. You have to go by who is BPA. And we're not talking about chemicals in your water. We're talking about best player available, Bradley. You get that best player available. There's no shifting. Think about it. You're not trading a veteran in for that 105. You're not trading your 107 out to next year's draft class. You are strictly locked in to this draft, seeing these players, how they're ranked. And the tightening thing that happens is ADP informs. And along the way, we're going to have risers, we're going to have fallers. You're going to see where the market takes players' sentiments. I can already tell you right now, a player that I see 18th ranked overall on Fast Draft, and I've moved him way up my boards. Emmett Johnson, running back. He's my RB2 in the class. I would put him, I say he's going to be in the mid round one slot. So we're talking 6'7", 6'7", as the kids say, 6'7", 8". In
Are
that
they
range.
anymore, Jeremiyah? Are they
They
anymore?
might not be anymore. They might not be anymore. But you're going to see these movements in the sharpening the iron when you start to understand. Look, people put a few dollars on a draft. Right now, this is a mock. But if you get in the Origins tournament, people put a few dollars. They take it as serious as a heart attack. And you are getting good feedback info for sickos who are playing. So this is such a value-added exercise to the point where when you go to rookie draft, and your OTC, you got 8 hours left. You're sending in, you have a war plan of what you want to do with your draft picks. You're only waiting on your buddy to go take a dump and be ready to check his phone or her phone and then respond to what you're proposing, because you will be at the ready. You'll be able to do it in microseconds versus what people, oh my God, I'm on the clock, and the hours fly, the 8 hours. So it's a beauty. This is a great exercise now. Get the reps in January. And it's funny, in football, games are won in the spring, in the practice for the fall. And your rookie drafts are won now in the reps that you get, because the reflexivity that you have on players that you may not be familiar with. Just seeing a name scroll across the Chiron makes you go look them up and say, you know what, I need to get familiar with them. Maybe it's somebody like Jamari Taylor on Virginia, Seth McGowan at Kentucky. The deep cuts. You listen to an album back in the day, you talk about what the kids are doing now, Bradley. Back in the day, they had deep cuts on things called CDs. You can find some of these deep cuts in the round.
And for the kids at home listening, CD stands for compact disc. Just for the people at home needing some information, compact discs.
And just for info for people, Aronde Gatson, Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt.
Oh.
So now we're going to work on finding those late round gems. It's a fruitful exercise. Bradley, are you ready to pump it up?
Pump it up. There we go. Let's pull up our FastDraft app, y'all. At the bottom, you can click the mock draft. As you can tell, I've been mocking, and so can you. So let's click the new mock draft on the app. Rookies. Let's go 8 teams just for kicks. 4 rounds. Snake, 1 quarterback. Tight end premium though. We want to shoot some tight end premium. Some of you like to practice the 3rd round reversal. That's an option as well. If we want different slots, you can select that. That's cool. We're gonna go with the 101 because I'm not a sicko. I know who I want at 101. That's not going to be debatable. I'm going to fight anybody. That's right. Play like a champion today. Go Irish. We know. And I just want to make a slam dunk case for the 101. We love it. And you know what else?
Love Jeremiyah. Love. Absolutely. And I love Jeremiyah. So you got a win here on this side. You're convinced with me as a Jeremiyah myself.
Yes.
And then Bradley is a diehard Notre Dame fan. And you've had really a front row seat. I mean, you really watched just about every Notre Dame game.
I saw 2 with my own eyes this year in South Bend. It was quite an amazing, quite amazing. But we'll get to that. I'm going to click start mock draft. So as you can tell, very quick to start. We're drafting against the bots. Nothing like drafting against the bots. Because you never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to happen. 4 receptions, 28 and 27 back-to-back years for Love. 1.84 yards per route run. You love to see it. That was ranked 12th. We see Makai Lemon go 103. Bradley, what do you think of Makai Lemon at 103?
That's a good price. I think that's probably where we're going to see him, especially with such a weak running back class after Jeremiyah Love.
Yep, and Jordan Tyson, many people have him as the wide receiver 1. I think it's becoming more commonplace and trendier to see Gospel George, as Chev likes to call him, and Carnell Tate from Ohio State. And then, of course, Makai Lemon from USC, Blitnikoff winner, shoved up the board ahead of Jordan Tyson. So look at these price points. What are some initial impressions, Bradley, that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, Fernando Mendoza at 7. I'm very interested. He probably is 6 because Justice Haynes hasn't been taken out yet. So once the drafters get in on removing him from the ADP, once that's all set, we'll be in good shape. So looking at the draft board, Jeremiyah Love 101. That's no surprise. But when Fernando Mendoza is going off at 6 or 7 overall, I think that's it speaks to positional scarcity for tight end and also positional scarcity at a running back. And then you think about the teams that are in need of quarterback this year, like Fernando Mendoza is most likely going to the Raiders at 101. And then you also have Mendoza landing in a spot with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty and a few other interesting pieces. So Mendoza does have the upside to be more than Bryce Young rookie year, more than a Cam Ward rookie year. Like this is, and Cam Ward was a back end 1st round pick in quarterback leagues. So I think we can have a little bit more confidence in Fernando Mendoza. I'm fine with him being a 6-7 pick. There we go, coach. Back at
there we go. Hey, not the kids, but one of the adults in Bradley Stalder pulling off the 6-7. 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. You love the touchdown to interception ratio. And here you have Fernando Mendoza, a good setup. We're hearing some rumors of Lamar Jackson, Raiders, maybe a package with the Ravens. Not sure on the verity of that, but I really like the idea of Mendoza, Tom Brady aligned with the ownership, the rest of the ownership team in Las Vegas. You're going to have Brock Bowers. You're going to have Ashton Genty, an improved offensive line. So if there's pressure off of Fernando Mendoza, there's more goodness provided for Ashton Genty. So Ashton Genty was phenomenal considering what he dealt with. At ADP, though, you lost. You were out. You were down bad. You had Ashton Jeanty as the 101. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. Ashton Jeanty did not pay off the 101 last year in your rookie drafts. At the ADP in redraft, at the 1-2 turn, Ashton Jeanty did not pay off at ADP for production. Still, the 101 in my books, still the correct right move because it's a nonlinear path for players. Years 2 through 5 and beyond, I see it happening and getting better for Ashton Jeanty. Part of that will be in tandem with Fernando Mendoza. Going back to the 101, Bradley, is there any scenario where you see Jeremiyah Love gets drafted and it's just not the right situation? Somehow it's an Ashton Jeanty where you couldn't see that coming, and it did happen. An incompetent franchise. Is there anywhere Love would end up where you'd be very nervous?
I mean, I'm nervous about Arizona. There's been a lot of mocks to Arizona. You have a non-intelligent organization with no answer at quarterback, which is what the Raiders were last year, right? We were not confident in the organization, not confident in the GM. They didn't have an answer at quarterback. They answered it with Geno Smith, which was the wrong answer. And that led to absolute implosion for the fantasy options for, in particular, Ashton Jeanty. So, and that's the comp. I think if Jeremiyah Love gets anywhere other than Arizona, like if he lands on Tennessee, I think that at least there's some life breathed into him. But with major questions at quarterback, the other offensive pieces are interesting, like Trey McBride. But as we know, historically, if there is a good pass catching tight end, that's going to nibble into the pass catching running back. And so that would hurt Jeremiyah Love's upside as a receiving option. So yeah, I think Arizona as a top 3 pick, that would be nightmare scenario.
Yeah, and it's funny because with the picks and Tankathon as it has right now, pick 3 overall for Arizona, I just think for the fear point, I agree with you, Bradley, because when I asked that question, that was a team that did come to the forefront. And funny enough, we talked about last week, why is Jeremiyah Love being mocked to the Arizona Cardinals? So many other needs. And at quarterback, it's like self-defense, get away, run away, right away with the Arizona Cardinals for their weapons. Sands, Trey McBride. Is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? We're really not sure about that to be the bridge quarterback. And it's just a lot more problems. And it's kind of like peeing on a fire. You're not getting much done by selecting Jeremiyah Love for the amount of problems that the Arizona Cardinals have. Now, as we're drafting, Bradley, we've talked about the 101. It's well established, and there's going to be so many iterations of how we wax poetic about how great Jeremiyah Love is. But let's learn a little bit more about this tournament that we've been drafting on, FastDraft, from the Podfather.
Hey, pop quiz hotshot. Who is Jeremiyah Love? Who's Fernando Mendoza? Who's Makai Lemon? Well, they just happen to be the first 3 picks off the board in the 2026 Origins tournament, which is currently live on FastDraft. That is right. 2026 Best Ball has already begun on FastDraft. Use code FAST to get a $50 deposit match. Code is FAST for a $50 deposit match. Best Ball 2026 is now. Start drafting faster.
Start drafting faster. Right now. Get in there. Get in the streets. FastDraft.
Man, I love it. Kenyan Sadique goes 104, tight end premium. I've been in some mocks with some people where it's 105, it's 106. How confident are you in Kenyan Sadique, who I think is built a lot like Jonathan Taylor, but at the tight end position? It's scary. Can absolutely put his hand in the dirt, can block, can stay on the field. There were a lot of 12 personnel at Oregon, and he's not going to lead the field. A lot of George Kittle accusations, which I think is a wonderful thing because we've seen the career that George Kittle has had. Kenyan Sadique, if you can do it all, kind of like pass blocking. Jonah Coleman is a 3-down skill set, can catch passes, run between the gaps, hit the outside zone, and is a willing pass blocker. What's going to keep you on the field? With tight end, we've always had the deal with Kyle Pitts. Can he get his snap share up because he's not in line blocking so much? Kenyan Sadique Bradley is not going to have an issue having to stay on the field. It'll be more of an issue trying to spell Sadiq because of the utility he has as a blocker, being able to line up and run routes from all positions required at tight end. A physical specimen. 104, do you like the aggression here?
It feels too spicy still. I hear the love for Kittle, and there's been a lot of chatter out there about Sadiq's going to get top 10, top 12 draft capital. That's a possibility. I'm not convinced yet. I want to see more. This is where I'm not willing to take shots on tight ends. So, like, we've just been burned too many times rookie year with players. Like, are they going to pay off long term? And like Bowers, we were really helped out rookie year, but I think we forget that like Kyle Pitts had a good rookie year and then just imploded.
Yep.
And you have Trey McBride, who didn't hit until the end of year 2, and then it took a couple years. I mean, George Kittle was tight end 20 his second year, right? Are you willing to be that patient and invest that type of draft capital in a player? And especially if you're not sure if he's going to be at, you get so many shots at like getting a low end tight end 1, high end tight end 2. Is the value there where you could take a swing at a Carnell Tate? You could lock down an absolute starter in Fernando Mendoza. Like, that's where I do think that your roster construction does play into, if you are drafting, let's say not even on FastDraft, like in a dynasty league, and you're trying to accumulate these picks. I'm not willing to spend it on Kenyan Sadique at that spot.
All right, Bradley. It's January. It's exercise time. New Year's resolution. People are trying to get right. Be right so you don't have to get right. I always love telling that to my students. Let's do an exercise here. Kenyan Sadique landing spots. Tell me if this would spur you on to this 104 being more palatable. Washington Commanders with Jaden Daniels. Ben Sinnott is just deemed not the guy. The Commanders want to go in that direction.
I'm not giving up on Sinnott, but
okay. What if the Commanders do? And
if the Commanders do, then obviously yes. But the Debo might not be there. Terry McLaurin is on the wrong side of 30, right? Sure, but he's still going to be like third in the pecking order.
Yeah, I would like to see more of a proclivity towards wide receiver because they are aged at the wide receiver position. Now, Kansas City Chiefs, are you bricked up for that?
I would. So, still hesitant. Rashee Rice, we don't know what's going on with the domestic violence situation, the allegations there. It's still, again, allegations. I don't think anything's gone to court.
Yeah, and we're assuming Kelsey's retired. Yes,
right.
He's making albums. He's on tour.
The Chiefs do like Noah Gray. Like, he's not going to go away even if Sadiq goes there. The other concern that I'm thinking very heavily about is Eric Bieniemy, just hired to be the new offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a massive, massive upgrade in terms of getting the ball down the field. And that means I'm buying Xavier Worthy. Yeah, I'm buying Rashee Rice. Like, I'm buying those more dynamic players. Like, Sadiq would probably be the third, maybe fourth option on this Chiefs offense. So
I got two more teams in this.
Okay.
Tampa Bay, Kadon's a free agent.
If Mike Evans is still there, the answer is no.
All right, and last one, Denver Broncos with Sean Payton.
Still no.
Okay. I tried to fill in, plug and play some of the tight end needy teams or speculate on them. Granted, these teams could deem you have other needs, It's not going to be round one. But Sadiq, just for what it's worth, another team that could be out there, the Carolina Panthers, I really like. If Sadiq makes it to 19, I think he'd be just a gangbuster. He would just break right through, and it's not quite there for Jadavion Sanders. Jadavion Sanders is just built like a brick. It's just a brick wall. And it's funny enough, Kenyan Sadique has even more talent. And we've seen 5th and deep catches, 8th and missed tackles forced. The agility is there, and the stability is there for the body frame of Kenyan Sadique. So love that.
You have confidence in Carolina's offense as a whole. It was barely able to support Ted McMillan.
With Bryce Young, oh well, Tedero McMillian. Hey, I like
McMillian.
that.
Woo.
We just spurred onto something there. 122 targets, 70 receptions. We can close that number, and that's going to have to be a better quality target for Tedero McMillan.
Right.
And if we can get that 70 chewing into that 122, and if we can get that 122, and we're talking about converted catches rising, we can get that 122 to 140 on targets. I'm eyeing and seeing 100 reception season. So a little side tangent there. I love Tedero McMillan.
Same.
Year 2.
I'm going to keep tapping McMillan for sure.
Where else which direction do we want to go on this board? Jadarian Price, Bradley, they're on the same team. Now they're on.
This is my guy.
Yeah.
This is my guy, Coach. We talked about him in the last episode. Holy buckets. There were at times where Notre Dame was using Love and Price interchangeably. I mentioned how they wanted Price to get more touches in the special teams game. That is, again, the skeleton key that unlocks what NFL teams love to see. Jadarian Price, he's a projected, 3rd round pick right now?
I think he and Jonah Coleman are tight. They're close.
He's been mocked in some places at the end of the 2nd round. Like, there's NFL teams that will want to take their shots on Jadarian Price, and rightly so. He played very well against a good Notre Dame competition level. Like, there's no issue with the type of competition that Jadarian Price played against. And yeah, so give me I want as much exposure to Jadarian Price as I can.
Yeah, I love it. I have him as my RB3 behind Emmett Johnson.
Yes.
And I've heard.
Did you see where Emmett Johnson went in this draft?
Where'd he go? Please tell me. Talk dirty to me.
404.
404? Yeah, that's
36th overall.
Yeah, that one's broken, and Hollywood Smothers next to him. He'll be cut out. Here's an advantage you can take. As we're talking, we're doing this exercise. The next Origins batch that's going to come out is going to have the refined declarees.
Yes.
So right now, there is a cheat hack, and you set your queue. You batch down Justice Haynes, Hollywood Smothers, who are in there. I was doing that today. You drop them down, just players who Mark Fletcher. It looks like he's going back to Miami. I love Mark Fletcher. He was a player that I liked in that RB5 to 7 range. His stock has gone up big time, heavily drafted by SEC teams all the way, in powerhouse teams in college football. Has had a tremendous playoff run with Miami. It's kind of sad. It's not quite like Nicholas Singleton returning as last year, but he is a player who, hey, you got to bump down the queue. And if you're just going against people who don't know this, you're gaining an edge and an advantage. Now, speaking of, I did mention Nicholas Singleton. Bradley, what's your take on Nicholas Singleton? The hype train of maybe running a 4.4 at the combine, blowing up on numbers. These statistical numbers have been a disappointment for Nicholas Singleton. He's been in a committee with Katron Allen, who I really like. I comp Katron Allen a little bit to David Montgomery. But Nicholas Singleton, he tests out of the water, Bradley. All of a sudden, this NFL draft class, which is weak, it still will be weak, but it's going to be a lot more appealing and a lot more rookie fever inducing should Singleton hit at the combine. What do you think of him?
Are we looking at Bashal Tootin 2.0?
Chev was, we were on a show and he mentioned that as well. And Casey, that Bashal Tootin jump. And then, of course, that makes this a meteor draft class.
So that's interesting because Singleton has been mocked often at like the 4th round, and that's where Tootin is going. And if we're talking about a player who, has got 6 foot, 224, and if he's got the speed, maybe he's a little too tall, but he's been mocked. I mean, he at one point was mocked as like a first round pick back in the, in middle of October, and he's just seen his stock falling and falling and falling. So he's a 5-star recruit in 2022. He's gonna need this combine to offset what looks to be a pretty tough 2025 season. So for him to go at 206, I feel like that's packing in too much or double counting something that already doesn't exist yet, which is what we're hoping for is a good combine. Look, do you remember who is that wide receiver that we thought was going to run like a 4.1 or something ridiculous last year?
He went to Cleveland and he got in trouble.
Yeah. Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond. Yep.
Right. So this might be the Bond corollary, where you have a lot of projection for a good combine. And even if he has an fine combine, like Isaiah Bond was fine in the combine, but it did nothing to help his case when the hype was through the roof and all of this narrative was there. And then just, it was the letdown portion. That was the issue there, Jer. So you have to wonder if Singleton might be in that boat right now, as we're in the middle of January, nearing the end of January. We're approaching the testing season pre-NFL draft. You have to worry and wonder if this is just too rich at this point. Like, you're just not getting the edge that you want to get for a player who might explode, but maybe he doesn't. And Singleton could fall either way. And this is just, I think, too rich, being 14th overall.
Yeah, it can be very volatile, and we kind of can latch on to, hey, let's talk about penultimate seasons. Somebody like Ollie Gordon, where his second to last year, he thrived, and then the final year, it was a little more flat, and we were drawing corollaries to Chuba Hubbard.
Yes.
Chuba Hubbard had a very big second to last year. That's what
penultimate at Oklahoma
means.
State.
Yeah. So, yes, and the corollaries were there.
Oh.
Then we see that ability where, hey, we've seen it before. In last year, I had a ton of Ollie Gordon because you told yourself a story. There is that pedigree where, hey, if you've shown it, you can be it.
But we knew, though, if you followed the Chuba Hubbard pathway, that it's actually going to be 2026 where we start to see things for Ollie Gordon, and then 2027 where he explodes. So
by virtue of that, Nicholas Singleton is when? 2027?
2029.
Oh. Just when the rookie deal is
2028. But like, that's the reality, though, is when you have, like, Jerry, you and I have been playing Dynasty for long enough. We know that, like, these round 3, 4, 5 guys who have an elite trait, because they're not being drafted in rounds 3, 4, or 5 if they don't have something to offer, right? A team sees something in them, whether it is consistency, whether it is burst, whether it's vision. They have some elite trait. The issue is that the reason why they're going round 3, 4 and not 1 or 2 is because they don't have enough elite traits. They're not viewed in that way. As a result, it's going to take them longer. That was like the Caleb Johnson error from 2025, was he was getting so much love from the Dynasty community, but he was a round 3 guy, and the landing spot was projected to be very nice. We also knew Arthur Smith is a jokester. And there was an issue with Caleb Johnson not being a round 2 guy. And yes, hindsight is 2020, but that's what we've been playing Dynasty long enough to know, that if a guy is going round 3, 4, 5, he's probably not going to be the starter during the season, barring an injury. So,
yep. That law of large numbers. If you apply law of large numbers, you see how many players don't necessarily stick. But then I think what's challenging for Dynasty managers is, because we've been playing so long, as you had said, when you get a Kyle Monangai and he really, from the jump, shows what he can do and even better and develops as a pro. You get good coach speak index with Ben Johnson. So it's so funny. I think my impression too is you have to have a certain level of, I'm going to take a stab on these players at certain points. And I think because you and I play best ball, there's enough portfolio nonsense in your brain where you are going to fade a player and be against a player and be out on them, but still have 6, 7, 8% exposure based on volume. And people will say, well, wait a second, you might be out of a player more than somebody who's in on them, and then still have more of that player because of how much you're drafting in different formats.
Right.
And it's just funny enough, like Nicholas Singleton, he could absolutely be that player where even if I disagreed with him as a prospect and he falls, I'm still going to have a requisite amount because I can tell that story, tell that path. And it's funny enough, prices, markets. I'm going to have a mock that I'm going to do with Chev where it comes out. I've been number 3, Jadarian Price, Jonah Coleman's number 4. But based on price points, what I'm seeing in rookie drafts, Jonah Coleman goes before Jadarian Price. And by that virtue of price, literally, I am going to select Jonah Coleman. And it sounds like you're on opposite ends, but really you're playing a price point and you're playing a prospect point. Bradley, as we wrap this up, any last impressions of this board? It's a mock that, you get real people. They're going to have their real imprint in their takes. They're going to have a take on somebody like Casey Concepcion, who I'm very high on. We'll never drop this far.
No.
So what's just your outlook? And again, back to that value of doing this exercise.
Well, Casey Concepcion, like specifically, is getting consistently mocked at the back end of the first round. That's what this is also going to be very important for us to take into account, not just the price point of these players, but also where are they going in the real life mocks, right? And that's where it's very interesting to me, where I want to just scoop up players who the draft capital projected does not match the ADP here. Like Casey Concepcion is an absolute steal at 408. He's an absolute steal even at 303, a round and a half earlier. That's the thing is, okay, how far are you going to push it? That's always going to be the question. And so like looking at the rest of the board, look, some of the players like Dante Moore isn't even in the
Darius Taylor.
Right. But Elijah Surratt, like that could be very interesting. I know you're in on Surratt. Maybe you want to take a stab at whether Surratt's going to be there because he's projected to be a second round wide receiver. And I've been wary of second round wide receivers. They have just not hit very well because if they were good, they would be first round wide receivers. And usually it's a scarcity pick. They have some elite talent. Again, this is almost like the 3rd through 5th running back is your second round wide receiver corollary. Like that parallelism exists. You see a hit rate drop off of these first round wide receivers versus second. So maybe you want to talk about why Elijah Surratt, can he buck that trend?
I think one part, there's just this little hack though. It's if you're in the top 40, 33 to 40, if you're a receiver and you're selected there, you're like this accidental honorary first round pick. Jaden Higgins was 33. I think he was or 34. He was very highly drafted.
Same with T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins was the 33rd pick and paired with Joe Burrow. And you're like, hey, you love to see it. There is that little magic where part of it too is you can start a track with a new franchise quarterback.
Right.
And they have that deal going where they're paired. There's almost like a stack. And funny enough, with Fernando Mendoza, if the Raiders have an early second round pick, you could tell yourself a story within that range. Elijah Surratt, there's Chris Brazell, Denzel Boston. There's a few guys in that range who are in that next pocket after Casey Concepcion and the Tyson Lemons and Tates, and Jeremy Bernard is another one who can be in that range. I don't know how far Chris Bell will fall with the injury, but we're talking about opportunity in those first 8 picks of the second round. I'm very optimistic on wide receivers who can hit there. I love the boundary game that Elijah Surratt shows. To me, he's a smaller Mike Evans. Now, where he ends up, it very lowly recruited. He followed Signetti along the way, and he blossomed. Just a great story. A guy who's not going to take anything for granted because nothing was given to Elijah Surratt. Call him 7-Eleven because he's open 24/7.
Ooh, you love to see it. All right, Jer. This has been a lot of fun drafting on FastDraft. Make sure you guys are checking it out. Use promo code ROOKIE. You guys can see it right down there. Code ROOKIE on FastDraft. You can use the promo code FAST. Start drafting on FastDraft.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the host, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.